Hello again. I'm recording this on the same day as the other one I just did. Yeah, I wanted to continue. So I told you the letter Aleph, and I'm sure it was confusing. Now I'll tell you the letter Bet. So the second letter of the Alef Bet, the Hebrew alphabet, is the letter Bet. And Bet, like Aleph, got its origins from these Hebrew or these Egyptian hieroglyphics. So the hieroglyph for house was a box, and the Canaanites also took the same symbol. These Canaanite miners took the same symbol. And so what's the word for house in Canaanite? It's Beit, which in Hebrew it's Bait. And actually, there's something called smichut in Hebrew. If you put the two nouns together to make a complex noun, is what we call it in linguistics, then that's smichut in Hebrew. And when a noun is paired up together like that, anyway, the word Bait changes to Beit. Too much information, I know. Don't try to remember that. It doesn't matter right now. But the point is, the letter Bet has its origins in this hieroglyphic symbol for house, and also the Canaanites understood it the same way. Yes. So this is the letter Bet. Now, Bet in Hebrew originally just had a B sound, but today, and even honestly, like the pronunciation, I would encourage you to adopt if you choose to learn Hebrew. Is to do, they alternate between a B and a V sound, and I'll help you eventually understand when to do which. And actually the first word I want to teach you in Hebrew is the word ahava, which has both the Aleph and the Bet. Ahava means love. So yeah, more on that later. But it's the first fruit of the Spirit mentioned, and yeah, there's some fun things to dig into in this word. Obviously, there's multiple words for love in many languages, even in Hebrew. Yeah, the word love, I think this avat has to do with giving, and I'll explain that later. But yeah, what else? So Bet means house, or it comes from the representation for house. So anyway, what happened was, and this is the genius of the origin of the Alef Bet. So if you want, all you want to know is the Alef Bet, you want to learn the letters, then you could stop this video now. Same with the last video, you could stop it very early. The moment I mentioned the Alef, you're good to go. And hopefully I'm going to try to see if I can find a way to put the symbols, the letter symbols, on these videos, so that way you can get a little glimpse of that. Anyway, yeah, so Aleph Bet, those first two letters, and that's obviously where the name alphabet came from. The Greeks also, again, Beta, which in modern Greek is pronounced Veda. So even the Greeks switched the B to a V. They say in modern Greek, you hear them, they don't say Beta, they say Vita. So it's Alpha Veda, kind of like that. But anyway, so sorry, I am bad at focusing multiple things. I need to turn right. So now I got that taken care of. All right. Anyway, so Alpha, Aleph, and Bet there. So now you see the Greeks took it from the Phoenicians, who took it from the Canaanites most likely. And these are some dumb knucklehead miners. Now this is the genius. This is what I love about the alphabet and the origins of it. These guys, you got a bunch of knucklehead slaves basically to the Egyptians, working out on the rocks of the Sinai Peninsula Mountains, doing knucklehead work that doesn't require any intelligence. But here this guy, he wants to celebrate the birth of his baby. And so he decides to take these hieroglyphic symbols, to imitate them very poorly, and in imitating them, to use these. So the hieroglyphs didn't represent sounds, they didn't represent even words necessary. Oftentimes they are concepts, more than anything. You didn't think of a specific Egyptian word to go with the hieroglyph, you thought of a concept. And then if you were going to read the hieroglyphs to somebody, you would just put it into the language of whatever you were saying, based on what you know about the hieroglyphs. So the Egyptians used these symbols in all of their conquered lands and all the peoples that were subject to them, and many times trained local leaders to write and communicate in these hieroglyphs with them. But anyway, so the wonderful thing is this Canaanite miner, maybe a few of them get together and they go, you know what? We'll represent these hieroglyphs, or we'll use them to represent the first sound of certain Canaanite words. And then we'll use that. So this is where phonetics is born. It's a bunch of knuckleheads just coming up with, they want to celebrate the birth of his baby. And so, and there's a few other messages in these hieroglyphs, or these Canaanite inscriptions in these caves in the Sinai Peninsula. But they're wanting to, so he essentially says, a baby was born to me, yay. And I can't remember the exact thing, I could look it up, whatever, I can't even think of the name of the place still. But wherever it was, but he wants to celebrate it, and so he uses these hieroglyphic symbols, sometimes totally misinterprets what they represented, and then writes a message that use it phonetically with the first sound of that Canaanite word. So for instance, Aleph, the first sound is and then Bet, b. And so yeah, from there, that's essentially it. I love this story because I think it's a story of really how, and I'll try to stop talking about this history really now because I think that's enough, but it really shows how it doesn't matter, these guys, they lived and died in those caves, seemingly meaningless lives, but his wife had a baby, he celebrated it, and he did something for the world that radically changed the way the world worked. The Phoenicians grabbed onto this idea, spread it across the Mediterranean. Next thing you know, it's everywhere. I mean, this phonetic writing system is genius, and it pops up in this tiny little area. The first place we see is this caves down in Sinai Peninsula. So I just think God is good to use each and every one of us in a powerful way that we may never know about. We may only ever know ourselves to be meaningless, whatever. It feels like you're just, as the biblical King James version says, kicking against the goads. You're working hard and accomplishing nothing. But really, maybe you're making a lasting impact on the world that will last thousands of years, unless you're in the camp that believes Jesus is coming tomorrow, in which case, not thousands of years, just till tomorrow. But either way, God is good, and He is using us in powerful ways. And I thank you all, anybody who managed to listen to this, for listening.